Lost Ark is a grind. We know this, but what if I told you you're missing out on a bountiful amount of silver, gems, and honing mats, and all it costs is maybe a 2-minute fight maximum weekly? But before I break that down, welcome to the video. I make Lost Ark guides for new and returning players weekly. This is my 7th video on the game, looking to catch these players up so that they can get adjusted at a much faster pace. Today's video is on the Sylmael Bloodstone vendor that I believe is not used by that many people. And it's a shame because it holds so much value for so little effort put forth weekly. So what is the Sylmael vendor? Every main city has one, and you may know it as the guild vendor. There are 3 tabs. The first one holds XP pots and silver chests, and is a one-time only purchase, weekly that is. The second holds honing mats of whatever tier you need. And the third is where you can find sage powder, solars, and the most important option, the silver cube chests. These chests cost a large amount of Sylmael per, especially as you go up in the tiers. The chest will either give silver or a cube tickets of the tier bought, with the silver being highly weighted in the odds. Note that this vendor is per character, with some of the honing mats being roster bound instead of character. Notably, the shards are characters, so don't get too excited. So, the currency. How does one get it? Guilds. Whether it's a small, only your roster guild, or a large one, they all pay Sylmael Bloodstones from various ways. There are 3 weekly tasks that you can hammer out as much as you want, but the initial completion of each will net you the listed amount. It also will grant contribution and task points. In regards to the task points, depending on research done to this point, there will be different thresholds for Bloodstone payouts. These will pay out to the guild treasury an hour or so before the weekly reset takes the servers down. To get a weekly payout, you have to hit a certain contribution set by the guild leader. The contribution is set at 100, but typically more active guilds will increase it to 300 plus to make guild members put more effort so that the guild payout will be larger. There are a couple of ways to get contribution. Tasks pay out contribution every single time. Additionally, there's a daily silver and gold contribution that you can make. And finally, there are the GVG and GVE activities that also give a big contribution. These are specifically called Siege and Raid Match. If you look at the options in these windows, there's a listed rewards for each activity, with increased reward the higher up the list you go. Raid matches are simple and are basically just boss battles. You get a Sylmael payout immediately, and as soon as reset happens, based on the clear time of your run, you will get a payout to your guild treasury. This is server based, so ranking is based on guild's clear time. I typically look at the guaranteed payout, which is the top 100 option at the bottom of the rewards. The purpose of this video is to put the least amount of effort weekly for the highest payout. Likely, a majority of you will look to solo this and be in solo guilds or in guilds of only your roster. A 1540 character should be able to deal with Kasryk fairly easy over some time, based entirely on the character, build, and your experience of course. Just know that this is truly to spare if you're a support only roster trying to do this solo, like all solo content in Lost Ark. 1580 plus characters should be able to do mana fine, but note that completing Kasryk faster might get you more of a payout based on your completion time than Maneth, and will be considerably easier. Note if you die in a solo run or all members die at the same time in a group run, the fight is reset. The boss gains all of their life back, but the time keeps on ticking. This is why I suggest Kasryk for even over level characters. Just having one other person makes these fights so much quicker. There's guild battle enhancements that help out a lot, specifically the damage amplification, so just look into that. In regards to sieges, I will not focus on these for this video, but we'll give a quick run through. These give a huge source of Bloodstone, but more notably, if you get a top 3 position, a large payout of gold. A majority of these are guild versus guild based and take place at a set time every week on Sunday, but some can be done on other days and are only guild centric. Unless you have 4 to 5 people in your guild, I wouldn't focus on this too much as it's next to impossible solo. But if you happen to have a few people in your guild, doing something like Tranquil with 4 is a giant payout of Bloodstone. Just make sure you have the song though. So as a refresher, Bloodstone comes from weekly tasks, daily guild drops, initial GVG, GVE clears, and the final payout at reset. Payouts are based upon what the guild lead has set the ratio to, as you could have it pay out a majority or half and half, half to the guild treasury, half to the players. Just note some initial research for increased guild store options is great to build up for and somewhat required to fully get the max potential loot weekly from the store. We have the vendor, how to get the currency. So what is the plan? Well, you either create a guild or use an existing one. You can join one, but from my experience, typically the ones you can get free join access to have a super low contribution, which sounds nice, but these are essentially alt guilds. Most don't do raid matches, so it's just splitting the cube weekly task payout, which is essentially nothing split to 20 to 40 ways. Servers are currently in the process of merging, and a new class release with the event is on the horizon, so new guilds may get some reinvigorated juice. Note, I have a random alt that does GVG and GVE weekly with a guild on the server that gets top 3 position on both and gets maybe 3,000 Bloodstone weekly, while a majority of my alts receive 6 to 10k weekly, so just keep that in mind. I would put partial focus on guild research, specifically on Bloodstone distribution increase and store upgrades, so having a majority split wouldn't be beneficial because you would want your guild treasury to build up over time so you can make this research. At reset, set your weekly tasks. Cubes, hazardous waters, and coins are the typical choices. Cubes are done weekly, so compounding the task just makes sense. Waters and coins can be done immediately, especially since you should have a bulk amount of coins from events that just sit idle. They do have other uses, especially for newer players, but the uses are dwindling as time goes by and sailing gets pushed further and further back onto the back burner. There's a certain time frame you need to lock in your raid matches, so just follow the timing to lock in and make sure you do it before Sunday. Pick the raid match that you believe suits your character's ability. If you're nervous and it's just a 1 to 2 person guild, you can even do raids that are lesser than Castric just to test. I believe as soon as you lock it in, it is locked, but I'm not certain if you can fight pre the lock-in. Do the battle when you can and make sure your contribution is at the required threshold. This should take less than 5 minutes total. Then at payout, you'll be dished your pay. Then head to the vendor and spend where you please. I do recommend the cube chest though. Even if you don't get cube ticket, the silver is also very valuable. You can buy multiple tiers of it, but the higher level cube chests cost more, so choosing 2 1580 chests may be the only option you have at that point, but buy out based on what you need in the moment, of course. I just personally hold cubes and silver to a higher value. This isn't a godly amount of loot, but with a 2 to 5 minute raid weekly, it's a nice easy plus at the end of the week. Guilds and the Sylmael vendor might be the most untapped resource available, especially with how little effort needs to be put forth to access. Most people I talk to seem to think it's a much harder and annoying process, but it becomes a very quick process once you get it down. This is another process I had to learn the long way, so I'm hoping this is new for some of you seeing this video. If you're on the newly formed Lutera server, you want to test out all these new resources and check out the guilds, look up the mechanically trash guild. It has an auto accept function, and just put one of your main characters in there. Ideally just put one, as I don't want this to fill up and oversaturate and not allow other people to see. And you can see firsthand the resources. You can participate in whatever, get the Bloodstone. And if you do have alts you want, there is an alt guild that you can throw your stuff in as well. If you are a new or returning player, check out my previous video in this series that breaks down the fundamentals to get back into Lost Ark and caught up with the vets in a faster manner. Check out my previous video that breaks down 5% additional damage that you don't realize you could be sitting on, or just check out my playlist for things that you might want to brush up on. In prep for the next class release with the Express event, I will be doing a breakdown of classes I currently enjoy the most to play to help those who are looking to make a decision on what to play next. Until next time, have a good one.